Welcome to Love in Focus, the continuing journey. As always, I'm your host, Rika Lösterholm, and today I'm joined by someone who's an author, coach, and speaker, namely Kanchan Bhaskar. Welcome to the podcast, Kanchan.
Thank you so much, Ricard. I am so glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
So if I'm not mistaken, you will talk about toxic relationships and how to break free from them, which is a very important topic when we talk about relationships and love.
Right, absolutely.
So how did you start with this to become a coach, and what was your journey?
So, yeah, let me take you back a little bit. I am a survivor myself. I was in a toxic relationship for a pretty long time. I was in India at that time when I was caught in an arranged marriage who seemed like a very bright and a very charming guy, but those were all his deceptive looks. And when I got married to him, it turned out to be a nightmare. Within the first 3 weeks of my marriage, he started to hit me.
Oh.
And he turned out to be an alcoholic, violent, and a narcissist.
Oh.
My life turned upside down because I was a very fun loving girl, brought up in a very progressive environment where my parents, they loved each other, they respected each other, and they treasured each other. So I had been brought up in that environment where my perception of a man and woman in a marriage was that they are to be loved and respected and trusted. So my perception of a marriage was based on that. But my would be a husband or the husband after my marriage did not agree with that perception. And he was typically brought up in a man role belief system, a patriarchal
A
environment
patriarchal system, yeah.
where man has the power and control, and the woman is just there to serve the
Yeah,
man.
yes.
So
Man
we
on
were
the top and woman is subservient to the man.
right,
Yeah.
right. And we had totally opposite viewpoint. But at the same time, even if I had a positive viewpoint, opposite viewpoint, it didn't mean that he could hit me.
No,
I was
course
an
not.
educated girl. I did my MSW, I did personal management, all of that from very premium institutes in Delhi. And then I get married and I see this man who was a professional engineer, very bright, earning well on a good position. And then he drinks and he hits me. So first time when he did it, I kind of, gave him benefit of the doubt, thinking that he was drunk and he did not know what he was doing, kind of gave him a little excuse. But that carried on.
Yeah.
And
And that's often what you start to describe now, coming up with the excuses for the abuser, is what's known as a normalization process.
exactly, exactly. So I went through that normalization process also because, in society in India, although which society I was living in, this never happened because I was brought up in a very modern environment. But throughout India, such things I was hearing that, men do not respect women. But I do not know the extent of what they were doing to women. And I came to know only when it happened with me. And I thought that it was a normal thing after a few episodes, but there had to be a way out. I could not live such a life. I was not that woman.
No.
I was not having that background that where I could be hit. But by the time it righted and I came into my senses, I was already trapped. I was already under his power and control. And I had to struggle to find out my way out. And I searched for it till I found it. So,
That's good. What was your way out, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, sure. It wasn't easy to leave him. There were certain things like, people do ask that question, why didn't you leave him? That's a common question that is
Yeah,
asked. And, everybody has their own reasons why they don't leave. And for me,
absolutely.
the reasons were that I had a child.
Ah,
Within 11 months of my marriage, I had my first child, and then the twins came. Not only that, the financial thing. Also, I did not want to go back to my parents and tell them that I'm back and now they have to look after me again. Or I wasn't financially independent at the time. And
I see.
also, somewhere in my heart, I think after or before the courtship period that we were writing to each other, I fell in love with him. So being
Yeah.
an also an MSW, I thought I will do social work outside in the world. Why don't I try with him and try to improve him and send him to, take medical help?
Yeah.
If he's
Yeah.
having some issues, to maybe Alcoholic Anonymous or send him for psychiatric help, etc. But he
Yeah.
won't listen. He would say that I am the one who needed medical help and he was
Mm.
fine. So, he got into me feeling of inadequacy, worthlessness, low self esteem. I was numb, I was lost, I was depressed. But I had to take care of three children too.
Yeah. Of course.
Ricard, to tell you something very strange that happened with me, my belief in universe and my belief in higher power started to become stronger and stronger. And universe started to send me angels to provide me direction.
Yeah.
And those angels were not somebody with white wings on their shoulders or something like that. They were something like Ricard, you know.
Yeah.
I met you, I'm there, and then you start to give me some direction. But the good thing with me was that I would not discard your suggestion, I would take it
Yeah.
and I will follow that suggestion. So the first angel that came in my life, whom I didn't know, who was just standing there opposite the wall of my house, and she talked to me and she said, I had my daughter wrapped in my legs and my twin boys on my chest. I was holding in the evening in a very sad mood. And she said that you look like an educated girl. What's wrong? Why are you crying? And I told her my story that this is what's happening with me. Every other day I get hit and, I just feel like a victim. And she said that no, the first thing that you need to do is leave your self pity and start to work. And I said, how can I start to work? I've got these three toddlers, sticking to
Yeah.
my chest.
Yeah.
Where can I go? And she says, don't make excuses.
Ah. Yeah.
And she was so firm in her tone. She said, these are all excuses. Unless you become financially independent, the first thing that will happen will that you will go out, meet people, gain
Yeah.
your confidence, and then you will have money with you. At that time, you can decide whether you want to live with this man or you want to leave this man. And I said, what about the children? She says, hire a nanny, hire a servant, put them in a boarding somewhere, like a day boarding or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
There are ways to take care of your children. And I said, okay. So that was the day, Ricard, everything changed for me. I went inside the house. I went into the bathroom. I left the children outside. I went into the bathroom. I cried a little bit more. And then I put my face under the tap in the sink and I splashed my face. I got up with an erect spine and my head high.
Good.
And I made a tight bun of my long hair and I looked into the mirror and I said, where is that Kanchan? Where is that Kanchan that used to be so strong in college days? She protested against bride burning and dowry system. I want that Kanchan back. And I said,
Yeah.
here I am. I'm going to be that Kanchan. So I came out, I took care of the children, and then that night I could not sleep. I took a paper and a pen in my hand and drew a straight line. And I said, here is the victim Kanchan, and here is going to be free Kanchan. What are the milestones that she has to cover?
Yeah.
It may take as many years, I don't care, but I don't want my children to be brought up in this toxicity.
No.
That was my goal, that was my mission, that was my energy that was seeped, and in me. And I said, I have to do this. So my goals were financial independence, put children away into boarding schools so that they're away from this toxicity, buy a house in my own name so that he cannot push me out of the house in the middle of the night with my 3 children every now and then, and so on.
Okay, did
And
that used to happen?
right.
But yeah.
And then I also said that before I start to get into financial independence, I need to gather my confidence back, my courage back, my resilience back, create boundaries, and do all of that. So then I started to, study material. I started to, find out. And started to change my mental patterns. I would sit in a corner, a space to myself, and I would visualize freedom. I would visualize, nature. I would
Yeah.
visualize mountains and
Oh, yeah.
stars and waterfalls and red flowers and, beautiful
Yeah.
nature. And that would create space in my head, a space where there was no suffering, where there was no pain, you know. So
Yeah.
that space helped me little by little, and I started to build a ramp towards freedom one by one.
That's
And
good.
one fine day, I was out.
Yeah. One day you were out and he couldn't touch you any longer.
No, no. But in between, I have to tell you this, that in my case, my mental resilience was so much required because the Indian law did not help me. There,
Okay.
when I would go to the police or anywhere, they would say, Madam, show us where is the law which says a man cannot drink alcohol. Where is the law which says a man cannot beat his wife? Tell us, give us, show us.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 20 years back. But
Okay.
now, of course, the laws are coming up, things
Oh,
are
yeah.
changing.
Yeah,
A lot of-
I know that it has started to change a bit.
Yes. In all the developing countries, things are changing,
Yeah.
women empowerment after the Me Too movement, the
Yeah.
laws came
Oh,
out
yeah.
and all of that happened. So, yes, the lawyers would tell me when I go there for divorce, they would tell me that your 3 children will be divided between the two of you. And that was not acceptable to me at all. So I could not take divorce because the court said unless your children are 18 years old and they come and say in court they want to live with their mother, they will be divided. And that was unacceptable to me. So again, I had to go through a lot of ups and downs,
Yeah.
but that resilience, that courage, that 100% commitment, which we all need to have once we decide we have to be out, there has to be 100% commitment. So I did not deter. My ramp broke a couple of times, but I will again start to build it.
Yeah. You repaired it and started again.
Yeah. And then, children were gone, so that worry was a little bit less that, the toxicity in the home, that they are not affected. But finally, I came to US with my
Yeah.
3 children. I left India. I said I have to do something. I tried and tried, and again, universe was with me. My higher power
Yeah.
was with me. As if one side of my story was so ugly, and the other side like his God was carrying me, like, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
you I
I s-
let you fulfill your dreams, but action is something that you will have to do.
yeah.
So that is what
Yes.
freed me.
So what took you to the US? Was that one of the other angels that you met, or something like that?
So, it was my dad. I loved him so much.
Yeah.
And he was on his deathbed. And it was just one day before he passed away.
Oh.
He called me and he said, "Sit next to me." And I sat there and he said, "Kanchan, you need to go to US with your three children." And he specifically said US. I
Oh.
was trying for other countries. I was trying to run away, escape, hide
Yeah.
in any foreign country. So I was trying for Canada, I was trying for New Zealand. All these agents, they'll take money from me, but
Yeah.
they were scammers.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
and US was out of question because it's very difficult to come to US, visa
Oh yeah.
issues and
Oh yeah. I know.
yeah. And he said, "Kanchan, you need to go to US." And it was in the universe. He passed away on 26th of January of 2000. And 30th of January of 2000, I met a gentleman where I was working at that time,
Yeah.
UGC
Yeah.
companies. He was the head, and I met him. He used to like me a lot, my work,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I had met him a number of times. He was from US, of course. He was visiting India. And I said, "Tom, can you help me transfer to US?" And he said, "I won't promise you, but we can try." And I said, "Please try." And that was January. April, he called me for interviews in US. And
Oh.
June, I moved here in
Oh.
2000.
That's so good to hear.
Angel.
Yeah.
My goosebumps right now,
Yeah.
because the faith in yourself, faith in the universe, faith in the spirituality.
Absolutely.
These
And
were my three pillars.
yeah. Yeah, and I also admire you because you are obviously a very strong woman who were able to get out of that toxic relationship and actually bring your children with you so they could escape it too.
Yes,
And I also really loved the way you described about how you set goals and small
yes,
milestones along the way.
yes.
That was,
And patience,
oh
and
yeah,
patience.
patience too.
I started to take small steps and kept the patience because I knew I have to be in this for a few years. Because he would not let me leave the house. He
Oh,
threatened me that either he'll kill me or my family
yeah, yeah.
or he'll kill himself. So, I could not just hide somewhere.
No, I understand. It's so typical of those people,
Yes,
who are brought up in that patriarchal structure that they do those things because
yeah,
that's another way for them to control the victims.
yeah. But Ricard, having said that patriarchal, now I'm in US in a matriarchal society,
Yeah,
but the numbers are the same.
yeah,
Numbers of domestic abuse. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men go through domestic abuse once in their lifetime. So
yeah,
numbers have not changed. It is the men or women who are toxic. It is their mental upbringing or some
yeah.
childhood, the trauma that they have gone through.
Oh, yeah.
Or, unless they accept that there is something wrong with them, there are ways to get out of it. There are therapies, there
Absolutely.
is mental
They
health.
can get professional help, but I think that you just pointed on the problem that they always blame others and they don't take
Yeah.
any responsibility for their own actions and don't understand that they might be the ones who needs help.
Yes, right. And it's a pity because there is no age group. It's not that it happens to 30 years old or 40. I
No.
met other day a 72 years old woman who was still being beaten by her husband in
Yeah.
US. And that, she could not do anything. She said, no, he, I have financial issues. Where will I go? I have to live with him.
Yeah, and that's another way of abuse too.
Yeah, financial
Because
abuse.
oh yeah, that's absolutely a part of toxic relationships.
And the worst is with physical abuse, because physical is also emotional, is
Oh
also
yes,
mental. It
yeah.
could be financial, it could be sexual too.
Oh yeah, it can
So,
absolutely be
we
that.
go through all of it,
Yeah,
all of it. But again, just a razor focus and 100% commitment, and also a purpose. If you have the why, if you keep thinking about the why every now and then you will not break. For me, my why was my children.
yeah,
My why was I want to give them a good life. And then also my why was that I want to be the same Kanchan that I used to be.
yeah.
So if you keep coming back to your why, then you will not break.
True, so true. So, Kanchan, you have written a book. Could you please
Yes,
talk a little bit about that?
yeah, sure. You know, so I got finally a legal divorce from him in 2003.
Yeah,
I came to US in 2000, and by 3 I was divorced. And my children kept on telling me, and I kept on thinking my children were grown up by now. And they were, Mom, you need to write your story and let it reach to other people who can take help from it, because your story is of hope and desire and, fulfilling your dreams and empowering and thriving.
yeah.
So, right.
It's both
And
inspiring and power,
yes.
giving power to people who needs it.
Right. So, I was not doing it for a long time. I didn't want to go back to that pain and,
No,
the whole
of
suffering.
course.
For many years, I did not pick up the pen. Then one fine day, I always keep a therapist, always, whether
Yeah,
good days, bad days, I just go chit chat and come back, and, I feel
yeah.
better.
I
So,
think
my
that's
therapist,
very helpful.
I had gone to her late 2018 or so, and I said, listen, now I'm thriving, everything is good, but I have a calling, like, what's the purpose in my life? What is the higher purpose now? I want to meet that. That phase
Yeah.
comes in all of our lives, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh. So she said, Kanchan, you have a purpose. And I said, what? She says, listen, you have a story. Become an advocate for people of toxic relationships. Go talk to them, reach them. They need you. What are you waiting for? Write your story. Record, I can't tell you. I was crying. And I got up and I hugged her tight. And she cried too.
Mm.
And then while I was driving back home, I called my 3 children one by one and I said, Mom is writing a book. And they were so thrilled. They said, oh, Mom, good thing. So I came back home. I had a box which I carried throughout my life, which was full of small box, full of small notes, the post-it notes,
Yeah.
napkins, some scribbling done throughout my life.
Yeah.
So I had put that in there. So I came back home. I set my table. I put my computer on it. In fact, I wrote with pen. I don't like typing. The first time I
No.
wrote with a pen because I
Yeah.
was wanted to be involved and engaged and
Yeah. You're more.
emotional.
Oh yeah. You're more engaged when you write by hand
Yeah,
than if you type on a computer.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So the first day when I took a pen in my hand, I started to write. Where should I start? But then my mind knew where to start, and I put it chronologically from the day I got married, or before that, how the life was, and I wrote 10 subheadings, like quickly.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, my days before marriage, Prince Charming, the first episode, and then I just kept on writing. Frog in the well, frog out of the well, relationships,
Oh yeah.
marriage of my daughter, all that. So, and then I started to fill in. And I think it took almost a year for me to write fully. I used to get through a lot of stress when I was writing. I used to get up and go for a walk and come back again, went for a vacation in between to just,
Yeah.
soothe and my brain. I would get up in the middle of the night and start to write again. So I had to rethink and go through each and every, not each and every, but a few episodes which I wanted to be in the book to remember them. And surprisingly, I always thought that I had forgotten everything and now I had moved away, but it wasn't true. Every scene came to me, the location where I was sitting, where he was standing, how the lighting was, smell in the room, what was I wearing, everything came. And so that is how, I wrote the story, and this is my book.
Yeah. How I set myself free from an abusive marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. It's available on Amazon. It is available on Goodreads.
Yeah.
If you type Leaving by Kanchan Bhaskar, you will be able to see that. There's a link on my website too. So,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
have a link to your website down below in the description of this interview.
okay, okay. And then after writing the book, I am now a coach.
Yeah.
I have worked for 30 years as an HR, human resources
Oh, yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
And I took retirement last year when the book came out. I have taken retirement and I am fully now dedicating myself to this cause. I am doing a voluntary coaching of women in toxic relationships in the state of Illinois. I did a certification, became an advocate, and also on the side I've started paid coaching for people who can, who are professionals and who have finan- good finances and they can pay for them. I have this coaching course. It's got four tiers. It's a 8-week course, it's a 12-week course, and it's a 20-week course. That's how I've spread it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what will they learn in these courses?
So it is typically, the courses are based on the pain points and suffering that an individual is going through at that time. If they are in self doubt, if they are in fear, if they have lost the confidence, if they are in low self esteem. So, based on that, I tailor these modules according to their needs, and then I start to work on that. So, typically, it's like the first session would be to assess where they are today, take
Yeah.
them through a life wheel, where the improvements are required. Then I take them through a roadmap, a blueprint as to what we should do first, prioritize those, and then I start to work on their refinding their self identity, reclaiming their self esteem, uh, creating boundaries, getting
Yeah.
back into self love and self care, relationship building, decision making, because people, they cannot make decisions and it's very
True.
frustrating. So I go through all those modules, and in my 20-week program I have also included belief in universe modules and belief in spirituality modules. So that's what how it works. And now I'm working on putting some courses there, like overcoming limiting beliefs will be one course, and
Yeah.
you know having a growth mindset will be another course. So I'm just working on those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. That's so true and that's so good. Yeah. Yeah. And so where can people connect with you?
Uh, they can connect with me. My website has got all the ways that they can connect with me. There's an email address there. They can just visit that website, and that's the best way to connect with me. It's
Yeah.
kanchanbhaskarcoach.com. And they can write to me if there is any need. You have my email, kanchan at kanchanbhaskar.com.
Yes, I have.
They can connect with me there too. They're most welcome. They can have a discovery session with me, free a discovery session where they can just talk and we can, you know, assess whether we are a good match to each other. I don't take everybody. If I feel that they belong where I can coach them, then only I enroll them. So, we can see if we are a good match and,
Yeah,
you
sure.
know, yeah,
Because that's the thing with being a coach. You are a good match to some, but not to
yes,
all.
to all. And Ricard, if somebody is coming with your reference to me, I will give them some scholarship too
Oh, thanks for that.
for my coaching. Yeah.
Yeah. And I put the link in the description below to your website here.
Oh,
So now you know where you can get the course, the book, and connect with Kanchan. It's all in the description below. Just check out that link there if you're interested. And if you know someone who's in a toxic relationship, or if you suspect that they are and you want to support them but don't know how to address them, you might want to share this interview with them, because this might be the eye-opener that will help them get free from a toxic relationship.
absolutely. That's a birthright. We need to be free. And don't
Yes,
hesitate to speak up. Don't hide and, behind the closed door. Just speak up. Tell people there's no shame in it because we think that it's a shame. But why should we be ashamed? We are the ones who are being hurt.
exactly. Don't put the shame on the victim, but put the shame where it belongs, namely on the perpetrator.
Exactly, exactly. And be safe first.
Yeah,
Be safe.
of course.
Make sure that you are safe. I always recommend that put a pouch with necessary papers, your car keys, your home keys, set of those outside somewhere, in the garage or somewhere outside hidden, so that if there is an unsafe situation sometimes, like in America, there are guns in every home. So if
Yeah,
there is an unsafe situation, just run out, grab the pouch, start the car, and go away.
yeah, so
So
true.
that is the first thing that we need to take care of. Our
Yes,
lives. Our lives are at stake sometimes. So
exactly.
take care of that.
Safety is vital to escape those kind of relationships. And this was all for Love in Focus, the continuing journey today. And if you want, you can like this video, subscribe to the channel, connect with Kanchan by clicking the link in the description below. And of course, if you know someone who needs this interview, share it with them and spread the love. Until next time, keep love in focus, and remember that you are bound for awesomeness.